Hello everyone, welcome to Vijay Mohan IAS Academy. Today, as part of economy subject, we'll be going to deal with Andhra Pradesh Budget 2021-22. Recently, AP government has released budget for year 2021-2022. As part of this lecture, I'll be going to cover Andhra Pradesh budget for 2021 and 2022 in a comprehensive manner, and this lecture will be useful for APPSC Group 1 and Group 2 examinations. Especially, this lecture will be very helpful for Group 1 mains aspirants. So, without any further delay, let's begin our lecture.
This time, budget was unique in the sense why I was referring it as unique is that there was less discussion in the legislature. In fact, there is no discussion because of the pandemic conditions, and it was enacted by keeping in the mind of financial constraints. There are large scale financial constraints and there is pandemic situation. So in a way, this budget was the less discussed budget 2021 and 22, and keeping in mind the financial constraints, this budget tried to balance financial expenditure and welfare programs. And third aspect of this budget is that you will see a lot of linkage or a lot of connection between sustainable development goals and manifesto of the government and Navaratnalu schemes. All this will reflect in this budget more often than not. So basically, what is government is saying through this budget document is that they are considering manifesto as the ultimate document, and through the Navaratnalu scheme, they wanted to achieve the comprehensive development of the state and thereby achieve the sustainable development goals. So you have government is trying to establish a clear link between one, manifesto, second one, Navaratnalu, third one, economic growth, and fourth one is sustainable development goals. All the budget document revolves around these four aspects, mainly these four aspects only. You have to keep that in mind as part of the introduction. It is like introduction of the budget. Now in this document, this is mostly useful for Group 1 and Group 2. Although it heavily leans towards Group 1, especially Group 1 mains. And what are the special features of this document? I would say this is a kind of handout. It is simple, it is succinct, and it is precise in its information. That is to say that I have tried to remove whatever the unnecessary issues. That means political rhetoric and references to previous government schemes. All those I try to remove it and make it as exam oriented as possible. This is the first feature of this document. And the second feature is that I have provided APPSC Group 1 mains previous questions wherever they seems to be relevant. I have provided the previous questions, and also I have provided the APPSC Group 1 mains practice questions wherever they were relevant. So keeping in mind all these things, we will move forward. So first of all, we will see the introduction aspect. So in introduction, it says that it would be an understatement to say that 2020 has been a watershed year in recent human history. So it is referring that 2020 has been a watershed year in recent human history. Now, never before have the 7.8 billion of us come together to fight a common enemy, that is COVID pandemic. While lives were lost and dark clouds of despair closed in on communities across nations, the global collaboration between governments, laboratories, scientists, and researchers proved yet again the resilience of the human race. Here, the government is providing some semblance of positive hope by referring to the human race and by referring to the resilience of human race. Now, today, as India is hailed as the pharmacy of the world, it is my solemn duty. Here, these words will come. It is my, like I propose, these words will repeat because it is in fact the budget speech of the finance minister. That's why these words will come repeating. So, just keep in mind that. Then, as today, as India is being hailed as the pharmacy of the world, it is my solemn duty on behalf of a government to acknowledge this stellar role which is played by our scientific community and pharma industry in positioning in India at the forefront of the war against the pandemic. So here, one thing you have to concentrate is that finance minister is saying that India is hailed as a pharmacy of the world. Why India is being hailed as a pharmacy world? It is better to know that India is, in fact, supplying pharmaceutical products to the world because of its capacity to generate generic drugs. And especially it was supplying many pharmaceutical products to European countries, in fact African countries, at very low rates. That is why India is being considered as the pharmacy of the world. And because of its capacity in generic medicines and in fact the production of vaccines also, it is being named as the pharmacy of the world. Especially southern state, for example Hyderabad, is having a strong biotechnology foundation. Is having a strong biotech ecosystem, you can say ecosystem, with many labs like Dr. Reddy's, etc. So we are able to provide a lot of pharmaceutical products to the world, especially European countries and African continent. That's why we are being referred to as the pharmacy of the world. So you have to keep that in mind. And furthermore, between 1st and 17th centuries AD, India is said to have had the largest economy of the ancient and medieval world, accounting for more than 1/4 of the world's wealth at any time. So, between 1st and 17th centuries, India is said to have the largest economy of ancient and medieval world, accounting for more than 1/4. That means 25% of the wealth. That 25% of the wealth. That means, it means that between these 1st and 17th centuries, India used to have a robust import and export capabilities. And India used to produce many products. Which have demand worldwide. So that is the reason why India is very rich in between these centuries, 1st and 17th centuries. And it was regarded and it was endowed with 1/4 of the world's wealth at any time. And one more thing the finance minister wants to stress is that as per the British economist Angus Maddison, this name is not that much important for our exam point of view. India's share of the world income dropped from 27% in 1700 AD compared to Europe's entire Europe. Here he is not referring to a single country, he is referring to entire Europe. Entire Europe's 23% of share to 3% in 1950. So it was 27% around 1700 AD. The share of the India's income in the world income is around 27% in 1700 AD. It was fell to 3% in 1950. The reasons for this sharp decline, or you can say that drastic decline, were many. And one of the main reasons for that is the British colonialization. And it has a chain reaction. With British colonialization, it has started commercialization of agriculture. And it has reduced the scope for indigenous industries or village and cottage industries. And the other one is it has also damaged the patronization of local rulers. Patronization of local rulers. And the other one is that, and the fourth point is that industrial revolution, which has started around 1700 or 1750s, has made production very easy, and it was possible to produce in a mass number. That is, mass production was possible with the machines. Because of these machine made goods and because of the colonization, British was able to import machine made goods into India, thereby handmade goods or the indigenous goods or village industries produced goods were gone out of the market in India. So because of all these factors, the 27% share India used to have in the world income was drastically dropped to 3% at the time of independence, that is around 1950. So this is all these introduction points are just passing references. You just have to remember for the sake of understanding. Then the budget document mentioned some collective efforts. The budget document mentioned some collective efforts, which are the Marshall Plan, the Millennium Development Goals, and the Sustainable Development Goals. And now government says that it has been focusing on the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals. And as we go forward, we will see that how government wants to achieve Sustainable Development Goals through its many varied programs. For example, in health, education, industry, and women welfare, everything they have connected to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal. And in between, they brought that manifest. They are saying that manifest is the document through which they are going, and they are using Navaratnalu as a tool. You can say that, in a way, you can say that Sustainable Development Goal, Sustainable Development Goal is an end product that government wants to achieve, and Navaratnalu is a tool, and manifest is a policy document. So from manifest to Navaratnalu, then Navaratnalu to Sustainable Development Goal. Now the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is attached in the budget or mentioned in the budget. So here he is saying that the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals at the global level depends upon the India's progress, which in turn is driven by the progress achieved by the states. That means here he is saying that the network or the cooperation at the subnational between the national and subnational entities, that is states, is very, very important. And with more than 1.3 billion people and having huge development potential, India is very important linchpin to achieve the global sustainable development goals. The Sustainable Development Goal agenda has assumed greater importance in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, as nations and subnational governments around the world are making efforts to emerge stronger and provide healthier environments to their people. So in a way, he is saying that in order to withstand the COVID-19 pandemic, achieving the Sustainable Development Agenda is very, very important. And in this, the significant part is that must be a cooperation between nations and subnational governments like states or districts, etc. So in effect, this point is stressing on, you can say this point is stressing on cooperative federalism. See, this is how you have to connect with the syllabus, and this is how you have to interlink the different aspects of the syllabus while writing the answers. Next, the third point is that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, here you have to remember that Sustainable Development Goals which were adopted in 2015 in New York, there were totally 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets. 169 targets. This may be directly asked in group 2. For example, how many as part of the sustainable development goals, how many targets are there? Example A 170, B 171, C 169, and D 180. So these kind of facts we have to remember, especially for group 2 examination. So here he is saying that the 17 sustainable development goals, these provide a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity. This is the single line explanation or single line, you can say, elaboration of the sustainable development goals. They will provide a shared blueprint. It is not only blueprint, but it is shared. That means it is common for global human race, or it is common for all the countries. So sustainable development goals, these 17 sustainable development goals will provide a shared blueprint. For what purpose? For peace and prosperity. So this is the basic definition you have to remember. Now it is a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity now and into the future, and give a universal call for urgent action on ending poverty and other deprivations, along with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth. So basically, sustainable development goals are stressing on some aspects. They are stressing on many aspects, but basically they are stressing on ending poverty and other deprivations, improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth. So in 2017 Group 2 paper, I think it is Group 2 paper 3, there was a direct question about sustainable development goal. They have provided number of sustainable development goal, some sustainable development goal 8 or 9, I didn't exactly remember. Then they have asked what it entails to achieve. So these things you have to remember. Then in these difficult times, with the pandemic still on the radar, efforts to make progress on the sustainable development front continue to be the foremost priority of the government. So what is the foremost priority of the government? Efforts to make progress on the SDG front. You may be asked in exam that among the following, which is the foremost priority of the government of Andhra Pradesh as per the budget 2021-22? A. Millennium Development Goals. B. Implementation of Navaratnalu. C. Reducing corruption levels in the government. D. Achieving sustainable development goals. So you have to brace for such type of questions. Now what it is saying that now the government is following a holistic approach. What approach it is following? It is following a holistic approach towards achieving the 2030 sustainable development targets. So in order to achieve 2030 sustainable development goals, government is following a holistic approach through key development programs. What are those key development programs? Navaratnalu and other manifesto promises. See here, there was a clear establishment of link between the sustainable development goals and Navaratnalu and other manifest promises. This link you have to remember throughout this budget document or this handout. This is the key linchpin around which the budget document revolves. Here, all Navaratnalu programs and promises made in our manifesto align closely with multiple SDGs. Here, it is again telling that Navaratnalu programs and manifesto are closely aligned with the sustainable development goals. This is the basic thing about introduction and sustainable development, importance given to the sustainable development goals in budget 2021-22. So here I have taken out some additional information about the Andhra Pradesh State and Sustainable Development Framework. This Sustainable Development Framework, it is based on the National Indicator Framework, NIF, which is communicated by NITI Aayog, and the State Indicator Framework, SIF. It has been prepared in consultation with all the departments concerned by mapping of SDG targets aligned with important schemes or programs of the state government, including Navaratnalu. Here you have to carefully observe this. It is a bit tricky. It is saying that Andhra Pradesh State SDG Framework, it is based on National Indicator Framework NIF, which is communicated by NITI Aayog. Then, based on this, the State Indicator Framework, it has been prepared. How it has been prepared? In consultation with all the departments concerned. How? By mapping of sustainable development targets, which are aligned with important schemes or programs of the state government, including Navaratnalu. So they are saying that one national indicator framework is there. which is communicated by Niti Aayog. Based on this, one state indicator framework has been prepared in consultation with all the departments concerned. By doing what? By doing the SDG targets, by mapping of SDG targets, which are aligned with schemes or programs of the state government, including Navaratnal. And the government has identified key concern areas under the SDG framework. Under the SDG framework, the government has identified key concern areas. And the preparation of district indicator framework, DIF, you have to observe here, district indicator framework is under process in the state. Now, not only state, they have moved to district, level, and they are preparing district indicator framework. And the results are planned to be monitored periodically under the district indicator framework for taking corrective measures, ensuring timely accomplishment of targets. What they will do with the district indicator framework means they will monitor it periodically, and whenever there are some loopholes or whenever there are some lacunas are found, they will take corrective measures immediately. With this, they will ensure that there will be a timely accomplishment of the targets. So, in effect, it is going to be a real-time policy analysis and feedback and correction at the district level. So, in a way, all this pertains to the robust policy implementation. Robust policy implementation. So, this is the additional information that I have got regarding the Sustainable Development Goals framework. And based on the above discussion, I want to pose a question, a practice question. These practice questions are mainly intended for Group 1 mains examination. So the question is, so what are the Sustainable Development Goals? Basic definition. And what is the strategy of the state government to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in order to promote comprehensive development of Andhra Pradesh? You can try it, you can write it, and I just forgot to give the number of words here. You can make it 200 words. So you can write answer in 200 words. This will be a good practice for your mains answer writing. Next, we will move into the main part, that is different aspects or different sectors of the budget or different sectors of the economy, and how much expenditure or how much money was allocated to each and every sector, and what are the main programs in these sectors, and how much money or how much finance was allocated to each and every program. We will see that. First and foremost is the agriculture. And now agriculture, the first scheme is Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan. Andhra Pradesh is the only state which provides input support. You have to remember here the Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa and PM Kisan is an input support program. It provides support to input purchase or input of agriculture. So it is basically an input support program, and it will provide rupees 13,500 per year. And here you have to remember one another important aspect is that it is providing 13,500 input support not only to farmers but also to tenants and ROFR farmers. For your information, this ROFR is recognition of forest rights, which will be given to tribals who are and other forest dwellers who are residing in forest for generations. So, in fact, this program is a revolutionary program because of the two reasons. That is, it is not only providing input support to the farmers, but also to tenants and also to ROFR farmers, that is recognition of forest right farmers. In this way, it is a very revolutionary program. And in 2020-21, the government provided input support worth of how many crore? Rupees 6,928 crore. 6,928 crore to 51.59 lakh eligible farmer families, including 1.54 lakh tenant and ROFR farmer families. So these numbers, they will keep on coming. You have to remember these numbers, especially as far as Group 2 economy is concerned. So Here it was, you have to remember that it was about 2021, and in recent exams, especially in group 2, the commission, public service commission, is asking data related to 2016 17, 2017 18. So you have to remember at least data which is related to previous year or previous 2 years. And here you have to remember that it has provided benefit to 51.59 lakh eligible farmer families, not farmers, it is farmer families. And one more important thing is that it has provided benefit to 1.54 lakh tenant and ROFR farmer families. This is a huge number as far as tenant and ROFR farmer families are concerned, because they are considered to be vulnerable sections among the farmers because of not having robust tenancy acts, and they are at the whims and fancies of they are being at the whims and fancies of landowners or landlords. So in a way, this program has strengthened the position of the tenant farmers and ROFR farmer families. Because of this program, these tenant farmers and ROFR farmers are being eligible or became eligible to get this input support of rupees 13,500 per year. This is a good program as far as tenant farmers and ROFR and other farmers are concerned. And I propose, that means the finance minister has proposed input subsidy of 7,200 crore. This is an important number you have to remember. 7,200 crore in 2021 through Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan scheme. It may be directly asked that how much amount or how much finance has been provided through Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa PM Kisan scheme for 2021-2022. A, 6,928, B, 7,200, C, 10,000 crores, D, 8,900 crores. Like this, there is a possibility that there might be a direct question. So you have to remember these numbers for Group 2 examination is concerned, as far as Group 2 examination is concerned. Now, another important program is Dr. YSR Free Crop Insurance. See, Andhra Pradesh is the only state in the country which is implementing free crop insurance without the burden of even a single rupee on the farmers. This is a sweeping statement. Now, the crop insurance amount is being matched directly from the state budget. It is being met directly from the state budget. That means there is no banks or no intermediaries are involved. It is being directly sourced from the state budget. And here he is proposing to allocate 1,802.82 crore. 1,802 point. In a way, it is somewhat easy to remember, but because 1,802.82 crore in 2021 for Dr. YSR Free Crop Insurance Scheme. Now, the government is also in the process of establishing the Andhra Pradesh General Insurance Company, APGIC, Andhra Pradesh General Insurance Company, which is a state-owned company. For what purpose? For ensuring that the benefits of insurance are accessed by all the eligible farmers. This also you have to remember. Next important scheme is YSR Sunna Vaddi Panta Runalu. You have to here remember the difference between these two programs. One is Dr. YSR Free Crop Insurance. This is free crop insurance. However, this is YSR Sunna Vaddi Panta Runalu. It means debt. The above one, this means insurance. So this is there is a basic difference between these two. You have to remember. Then, as far as YSR Sunna Vaddi Panta Runalu is concerned, for ensuring transparency, the interest subsidy claim amount is now directly credited into eligible farmers' bank accounts instead of releasing to the banks. So instead of releasing to the banks, they are directly crediting the amount into the farmers' bank accounts. It is nothing but direct benefit transfer, right? Now, the government has also settled the pending claims from 14-15 to 18-19 for an amount of 688 crore directly into the 51.84 lakh farmer accounts in the current financial year. This number is important. Sometimes they will ask directly. For 2021, Finance Minister is proposing to allocate an amount of 500 crore for YSR Sunna Vaddi Panta Runalu. So this one you have to remember. There is no shortcut. All this data. Next, another important thing, Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa Kendralu. This is very, very important as far as Group 2, Group 1 exam or any APPSC exam concerned. So Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa Kendralu. The government has established 10,544 rural. You have to remember this number, 10,544 rural and 234 urban. 234 urban Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa Kendras, which function as, this is important, integrated agriculture input shops. Integrated agriculture input shops and farmer knowledge centers. You just observe the definition or the thing which was given about the Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa. They were intended to function as integrated agriculture input shops. They were integrated and for agriculture inputs, and they are in the mode of shops. That means what this sentence wants to convey is that these are established for providing agriculture inputs, and these are in shop model, and they were integrated in the sense they were connected to many other aspects or many other benefits. So they were integrated agriculture input shops, and the other sentence it was added is that farmer knowledge centers. They are not only input shops, but they are knowledge centers. That means they will disseminate some information. It may be about the prices, maybe about the market conditions, about the soil health conditions. In fact, this Raitu Bharosa Kendras, they are nothing but acting as a one-stop solution. They are nothing but acting as one-stop solution. One-stop solution to the farmer, and that too at the local level, that is at the village level. So now farmer, he doesn't need to go anywhere. Earlier he used to go to district headquarters to purchase fertilizers, and in fact now it is now because of the Raitu Bharosa Kendras, he doesn't need to go anywhere like district headquarters. Everything will be available at the village, at his village only. In fact, government recently is starting procurement at the RBKs, and that too at the MSP rates. And in fact, Andhra Pradesh is the first state to start procurement at the RBKs or at the village level. And one more thing is that the custom hiring centers are pooling of machines, agriculture machines. It is being again started at Raitu Bharosa Kendras. So Raitu Bharosa Kendras are in a way, you can say that revolutionizing the agriculture as far as village is concerned, because at the local level a farmer is going to get everything. He doesn't need to go to district headquarters or some centers, and he doesn't need to stand in long queues to purchase the fertilizers, seeds, etc. So we have to keep in mind about this program, because there is every possibility that any group 2 question or group 1 mains question or group 1 prelims question might be asked in the Raitu Bharosa Kendras. Now see, the government has also declared that Dr. YSR Raitu Bharosa Kendras has procurement centers for agriculture as well as horticulture crop produce. Accordingly, 4,000 procurement centers were opened at Raitu Bharosa Kendra level during Kharif 2020. Now, Andhra Pradesh is the only state in the country to undertake procurement at MSP at village level, saving the transportation cost of farmers. Not only transportation cost, it will save a lot of things. It will save many things, like they will save time also. They will save transportation costs. So it will be very easy for the farmer because of this procurement at the village level. And now the government has established a price stabilization fund. This is also an important aspect. PSF, price stabilization fund of rupees 3,000 crore for market intervention in agriculture and horticulture produce. What exactly this price stabilization fund will do? It will provide for market intervention. That means whenever the prices of the commodities are less, then the government will intervene in the market to support the prices and provide remunerative prices to the farmers. So in this way, this price stabilization will provide remunerative prices to farmers, and it was established with 3,000 crore corpus and it was intended for agriculture and horticulture produce, both of them. Now commission may ask the question that price stabilization fund is intended for A, agricultural produce, B, horticulture produce, C, agriculture and horticulture produce, D, neither of them. So you have to provide answer A, that is agriculture and horticulture produce. So you have to remember these types of the facts. And here finance minister wants to allocate rupees 500 crore towards what? Price stabilization fund recoupment in financial year 2021 and 2022. So price stabilization fund was already established with 3,000 crore. Now in this year, finance minister or government is intended to provide rupees 500 crore towards this PSF, right? The next another important scheme you can say is that Dr. YSR Agri Testing Labs. This is another important scheme at the for the agriculture. Now in order to provide integrated quality testing facilities, agriculture testing labs will provide integrated quality testing facilities where in farmers vicinity the government is establishing 147 labs at constituency level and 11 labs at district level and 4 regional coding centers. And I propose, that is government is proposing an allocation of 88.57 crores. So 88.57 crores in 2021-22 towards the establishment and functioning of Dr. YSR Agri Testing Labs. And here, what is the significant aspect of Dr. YSR Agri Testing Labs? These Agri Testing Labs will provide quality testing facilities. For example, they will test seeds, they will test soil, they will also test fertilizer, so that the quality inputs or quality agriculture or quality agri inputs will be available to the farmers at the vicinity. For instance, if you consider that farmer has purchased seeds and he doesn't know whether they are of good quality or not, if he wants to test them, again he has to travel to district headquarters or state headquarters. Now with the availability of agri testing labs, after purchasing the seeds, the farmer can directly go to the agri testing lab and he can test his seeds whether they are of good quality or not. So in a way, it makes it the scientific data available to the farmer at the local level, and this is also a very good scheme because it will determine, in fact, it will determine the production and productivity at the local level, production and productivity of the agriculture at the local level. Because if agricultural inputs for seeds, fertilizers and soil are tested before sowing or before the agriculture season, then there is a possibility that only quality seeds or quality agriculture inputs will be in the hands of the farmers, so that the production and productivity will be more. Another aspect is farm mechanization. So in order to improve the income of the farmers, Multi-Purpose Facility Center, MPFC, Multi-Purpose Facility Center concept for development of farm gate infrastructure, again at RBK level, Raitu Bharosa Kendra level, is being implemented with establishment of 10,246 custom hiring centers in village level and 151 high-tech, high-value farm machinery hubs at the constituency level. This one you have to observe it. It is nothing but a pooling system. It is nothing but a pooling system. In a way, you can say it is Uberization. UBERA, Uberization. Uberization. What this means is that instead of individual farmer purchasing a farm machinery or renting a farm machinery, the farm machinery can be pooled and it will be provided on rent, to the farmers at low rates. So In order to improve the income of the farmers, multi-purpose facility center. Multi-purpose facility center, it is multi-purpose and it facilitates. So it is multi-purpose facility center concept for development of farm gate infrastructure. It not only speaks about the farm machinery, it also speaks about the development of farm gate infrastructure. For example, cold chains, farm machinery, warehouses, machinery for measurements, drying machines. So all these are considered to be as the farm gate machineries. Farm gate infrastructure. And it is being developed at what level? Raitu Bharosa Kendra level. So, as part of this, custom hiring centers, 10,246. These custom hiring centers are especially meant for hiring or renting the farm machinery at village level, and 51 high-tech, high-value farm machinery hubs. These high-tech, high-value farm machinery hubs are nothing but providing machinery which is highly technical in nature at the affordable level, and they are formed at constituency level. This thing you have to remember. Now, individual implements need-based custom hiring centers, combined harvesters, primary and secondary processing units, and agricultural mechanization training center (AMTC) are planned under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund of NABARD (AIF). So all these individual implements, CHCs, combined harvesters, all these tools, processing units, and training center, agricultural mechanization training center, all these are planned under the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund of NABARD. This is related to farm mechanization. So government here is proposing an allocation of 739.46 crore, 739.46 crores for 2021 for other farm mechanization activities. So for farm mechanization activities, it is providing 739.46 crore. This you have to remember. So here I am providing some additional information about agriculture sector. It was taken mainly from the economic survey of 2020 and 2021. So agriculture state is focusing on agricultural transformation focused approach. State is focusing on agricultural transformation focused approach. And Andhra Pradesh endeavors to provide agricultural extension services to farmers and to transfer the latest knowledge to the farming community. So Andhra Pradesh state is concentrating more on agriculture extension services to farmers and also transfer the latest knowledge to the farming community. Under the agriculture sector, the government is determined to focus on 4 things, that is productivity enhancement, one thing, and mitigating the impact of droughts through water conservation and micro irrigation, one thing, and other thing, post harvest management to reduce the wastage, like construction of godowns, construction of cold storages, and construction of processing units, etc. And the last one is strengthening the processing, value addition capacity, and supply chain. So by focusing on these 4 things, government wants to transform the agriculture in the state. In a way, you can say that government is concentrating to transfer or transform the agriculture in the AP state from production oriented to productivity oriented or value addition oriented. This means that only achieving the production goals or production targets is not the main issue. You need to achieve the productivity and value added or value addition in the agriculture sector. So this is the main one. And one more thing, that this land utilization in AP, how the land utilization was happening. I just took the table from the economic survey. You can just see it will provide some basic idea about how land being utilized in the state. And many times there were direct questions on in Group 2 exam. You can see that net area sown, including fish culture, it is 60.49 lakh hectares, and as a percentage of total geographical area, it is 37.11%. Forest land 36.88 lakh hectares, and it is around 22.63%. Land put to non-agricultural uses. Land put on non-agricultural uses is 20.74 lakh hectares, and it is 12.73% of the geographical area. And barren and uncultivable lands, current fallow lands, other fallow lands, cultivable wastelands. You can see the extent of the land and the percentages. In this table, the important things or important data that you have to remember is first three, that is net sown area, forest area, and land which is put to non-agricultural uses. These are the three important aspects. These three important facts that you have to remember. And one more data which I have taken directly from the economic survey is that land utilization in Andhra Pradesh in 1920. It was showing in the pie chart form. You can see same thing, it was reflected here. This data is being reflected in this pie chart. This data is being reflected in the pie chart. Just see here. So here net sown area is 60.49% and forest is 36.88%. Sorry, 60.49 lakh hectares, and forest is 36.88 lakh hectares, and land put to non-agricultural uses is 20.74 lakh hectares. Just many things not that much important, but you have to remember the facts. So this is the basic facts related to land utilization in Andhra Pradesh. Now there is one previous question in Group 1 Mains 2020 paper 4 is concerned, as far as agriculture is concerned, and that question was very direct in nature. Here you can see, give an account of the different schemes which are being implemented by the Andhra Pradesh government to promote agriculture in the state. He is directly asking that what are the different schemes, give an account of that schemes implemented by the Andhra Pradesh government to promote agriculture in the state. Here I'll briefly tell that what should be your answer. You just mention what is the focus or what is the approach of the state government towards agriculture sector. Like you say, it wants to transform agriculture sector from production based to productivity and value addition based. The brief introduction you provide. Then you just name the schemes in a one or two sentences, like RBK, Dr. YSR, Raitu Bharosa, PM Kisan, Raitu Bharosa, PM Kisan. This is the one scheme. And second scheme is related to Raitu Bharosa Kendras and YSR Agriculture Testing Labs, TLs. So similarly, you can say that YSR Sunna Vaddi Pathakam and YSR pre-insurance, crop pre-insurance, free crop insurance. Like this, you mention 5 or 6 schemes, and you mention 1 or 2 lines or 2 or 3 lines, 3 points about each and every scheme. Then your answer will be sufficient. And I have provided one more question. This is the practice. 2 more questions. This is for practice purposes. The question reads that, discuss the measures adopted by the Andhra Pradesh state government to improve the production and productivity of agriculture. So here the question reads that the question stresses on the measures adopted to improve the production as well as productivity of the agriculture. So again, you have to mention some of the schemes and mention the salient features of those schemes and how those schemes are contributing to the production and productivity of agriculture. Now second question is, Raitu Bharosa Kendras, RBKs, are one-stop solution for the farmers at village level. Justify. You need to justify that Raitu Bharosa Kendras are nothing but one-stop solution for farmers at village level. This you have to provide in 200 words. These questions you can practice for your answer writing. Now this is the end of the agriculture sector. In the next class, we will discuss about the remaining topics. Okay. Thank you.